Toxic negativity is like being blind in one eye. Toxic positivity is like being blind in the other. Either way, you don't see the full picture. If you never allow yourself to feel anger, you'll never build boundaries. If you suppress fear, you'll never sense danger when it's right in front of you. High emotional intelligence isn't about being endlessly positive. It's about being selective, awake, honest with what you feel. I've seen so many women tie themselves to completely worthless men, and it's obvious to everyone except her. Her eyes and her mind are clouded by toxic positivity. She either doesn't see the red flags or twists them into signs of hope. The same thing happens with work. Sometimes it's clear that a project is going nowhere, and yes, positivity can help you not give up too early, but everything has its limits. It's like being with a man who's a solid 7 out of 10. You choose to see him as an 8 or even a 9. That's fine. That's wisdom. That's conscious optimism. But when you take a man or a situation that's a 2 out of 10 and convince yourself it's a perfect 10, that's not hope. That's delusion. And it always ends in heartbreak. Real power is the ability to see clearly and still choose wisely. What if your smile is your prison? Some people never cry, not because they're strong, but because they're terrified of being real. The mask of toxic positivity isn't just about annoying quotes like, "just smile," or "everything will be fine." It goes much deeper. It's the denial of pain, the refusal to face reality, and in its worst form, a subtle kind of psychological abuse. Throughout this video, we'll uncover 5 masks of toxic positivity, explore the real psychological archetypes hiding behind them, and reveal the destructive consequences that inevitably follow blind devotion to this feel-good philosophy. You know these people, the ones who smile no matter what. She just got laid off, and she says, maybe the universe has better plans. Her boyfriend cheated, and she posts a quote, "Everything happens for a reason." Her body is screaming with exhaustion, but she calls it just a growth phase. That's not strength. That's sedation. They're not happy. They're not healed. They're just afraid to feel. You see, toxic positivity is just the opposite extreme of toxic negativity. Negative people, they miss out on joy that's right in front of them. They sabotage the good because they're addicted to the bad. But toxic positivists, they miss out on truth that's screaming at them. They ignore the bad because they're addicted to the illusion of good. Both are blind, just in opposite directions. And the saddest part? The positive ones get praised for their mindset, while slowly burning out from pretending to be okay. Now let's go deeper. Toxic positivists come in 3 masks. They look different on the outside, but they're all hiding the same thing inside: unprocessed pain. 1. The cheerleader. She's the loudest in the room, the good vibes only girl. She'll drown every conversation in affirmations and tell you to just shift your mindset. She reposts sunrise quotes on Instagram and hasn't slept through the night in weeks. Her positivity isn't confidence, it's camouflage for depression. She can't sit in silence because the moment she does, the emptiness swallows her. So she performs happiness, like her life depends on it. The concept is as follows: smiles louder, feels worse, smiles even more. 2. The fixer. She's the friend who always knows what you should do. She gives unsolicited advice, sugar-coated mantras, and spiritual bypassing like it's therapy. If you say you're hurting, she says, "Don't think like that. You're manifesting more pain." But here's the truth. She can't handle your pain because she's never dealt with her own. She fixes others so she never has to face herself. Your sadness triggers her fear, so she silences you for her comfort, not yours. The concept is as follows: avoids her wounds, controls others' emotions, feels powerful but broken. 3. The mirror avoider. This one's dangerous because she's convinced she's healed. She talks about high frequencies, letting go, and aligning with the universe. But when real emotions come up, grief, rage, shame, she disappears or dismisses. She doesn't want healing. She wants escape in disguise. She avoids depth, avoids conflict, avoids mirrors, because she knows what's in there, and it terrifies her. Her peace is just repression, wrapped in crystals and white light. The concept is as follows: avoids self, avoids others, ends up completely disconnected. And the worst part? These women are often celebrated in today's culture. They're told they're strong, wise, inspirational, but no one sees the truth. You can't fake wholeness. You can only postpone the breakdown. But here's what no one wants to admit. Toxic positivity is often combined with covert narcissism. It's not always about being happy. And yes, it's impossible to be crazy all the time. Life is a combination of the entire spectrum of all emotions. And emotional intelligence is about being able to identify, feel, and direct them. Sadness isn't a flaw. It's not a glitch in the system. It is the system. Your ability to feel pain, to sink into melancholy. It exists for a reason. It's not weakness. It's an evolutionary tool. Negative emotions aren't there to ruin your life. They're there to redirect it. Sadness tells you something's wrong. Pay attention. Melancholy says, slow down, go inward. Discomfort demands, change something, or be destroyed by your own denial. Pain is a compass, and without it, you wander in circles, smiling but lost. As strange as it sounds, your darkness is what makes your healing real. You don't become whole by avoiding pain. You become whole by learning from it. Sometimes it's about being untouchable, above criticism, above weakness, above pain. The narcissistic version of toxic positivity says, I'm the light, you're the problem. If you feel pain, it's because you're not evolved enough. I've transcended suffering. Why haven't you? It's emotional superiority disguised as spiritual wisdom. It's a way to invalidate others while looking enlightened. It's self-worship, wrapped in kindness. These people don't want healing. They want to be seen as healed. They don't care about connection. They care about appearing flawless. And worst of all, they weaponize positivity to shut you up. Your sadness, negative energy, your anger, low vibration, your truth, drama. It's not love. It's control. It's not wisdom. It's ego in disguise. And the more you praise them for being positive, the deeper they fall into the lie. But toxic positivity isn't just a mood. It takes on forms, personas that live and breathe in real people. Let's break down the 5 psychological masks of toxic positivity. First mask, emotional repression as control. Not all control looks like domination. Sometimes it looks like a smile, a soft voice, a constant reminder to just look on the bright side. But make no mistake, telling someone to stay positive at all costs is a form of psychological control. Why? Because the moment you're forced to avoid negativity, you also stop asking hard questions. You stop pointing out injustice. You stop expressing real fear, pain, or anger. You stop thinking critically and start self-censoring. Don't focus on the problem. Let's not be dramatic. You're being negative. These sound harmless, even supportive, but they carry an implicit message. Stay silent. Stay agreeable. Stay emotionally obedient. Let's say you're in a workplace where the culture is good vibes only. You bring up burnout, unfair treatment, or toxic dynamics, and immediately get labeled as negative or not a team player. So you suppress it. You smile, you nod, you tell yourself it's fine. But inside, you're shutting down. Over time, this leads to emotional numbness, isolation, and even learned helplessness. You begin to doubt your own feelings. You lose touch with what's real. And the worst part? You start policing yourself, becoming your own jailer. You no longer need someone else to shut you down. You do it on autopilot. That's not mental health. That's psychological compliance, wrapped in pastel affirmations, second mask, shadow denial. It's from Jungian psychology. Toxic positivity isn't always about pleasing others. Sometimes it's about hiding from yourself. This mask says, everything's fine. I've moved on. I don't dwell on the past. But beneath the surface, there's unresolved anger, shame, grief. And it's not gone. It's just exiled into the unconscious. As Carl Jung wrote, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. This is the heart of shadow denial. The person becomes addicted to light emotions, gratitude, optimism, joy, but only because they're terrified of what's buried underneath. They use positivity as a shield, not to uplift, but to avoid confrontation with their darker impulses, their envy, their resentment, their self-hatred. Here's how it looks in real life. A woman goes through a breakup. She immediately jumps into self-help books, yoga, high vibrations, and says she's grateful for the lesson. But inside, she hasn't processed the betrayal, the loss, or the rage. So it leaks out elsewhere. Passive-aggressive behavior, bitterness in friendships, emotional numbness. She didn't integrate the pain. She just painted over it. This denial doesn't make the shadow disappear. It makes it stronger and more destructive. Eventually, it erupts in unpredictable ways: sudden breakdowns, toxic relationships, identity confusion. Shadow work isn't about being negative. It's about becoming whole. And toxic positivity, it keeps you fragmented, smiling on the outside but broken where it matters most. Third mask: manipulation and gaslighting. Toxic positivity isn't always soft and sweet. Sometimes it's cruel, in a way that's hard to name but easy to feel. This is where positivity becomes a weapon, a way to control, silence, and even blame the victim. While pretending to care, you're struggling with grief, trauma, or exhaustion. You open up to someone hoping to be heard, and instead, you get this. Well, maybe you're just focusing on the negative. Try being more grateful. Your mindset creates your reality. What just happened? You weren't helped. You were gaslit. Your pain was turned against you. Now you're not just suffering. You're also guilty for feeling it. This is psychological manipulation hidden under a smile. It's a way for the other person to avoid discomfort by making your emotions your fault. And worse, it's a way to avoid accountability. Abusive partner? You're just being negative. Toxic boss? You need to shift your mindset. Systemic problem? Stop playing the victim. The message is clear. If you suffer, it's because you're not thinking positively enough. This twisted logic doesn't just hurt, it isolates. You begin to question your reality. You stop trusting your emotions. You blame yourself for not being high vibe enough. And that's exactly how manipulation works. You become easier to control the more you distrust your own pain. Fourth mask: the people pleaser's mask. Some people don't practice toxic positivity because they believe in it. They do it because they think it's what the world wants from them. If I smile enough, maybe they'll accept me. If I stay upbeat, maybe I'll be safe. In a society obsessed with productivity, likability, and curated lives, being positive isn't a mindset. It's a requirement. You're rewarded for being cheerful. You're punished subtly or directly, for being real. So people adapt. They put on the "I'm fine" face. They learn to say "I'm grateful" even when they're falling apart. This kind of toxic positivity isn't about inner belief. It's about social survival. You become the good girl, the strong one, the inspiration. You smile at work, at family dinners, on social media. You say all the right things and slowly forget how you actually feel. But behind that polished exterior is a void, a silent burnout, a growing resentment, a disconnection so deep you no longer know where the mask ends and you begin. And the irony, the more approval you get, the more trapped you feel. You can't take off the mask without risking rejection, so you keep performing and dying a little more inside. This isn't positivity. It's emotional codependency disguised as optimism. And the longer it continues, the harder it becomes to tell the difference between being liked and being seen. Fifth mask, the disconnection mask. When someone is always fine, when they're always blessed, when nothing ever seems to shake them, you start to wonder, are they even real? That's the problem with constant positivity. It creates an emotional glass wall. You can see the person, but you can't feel them, because real connection doesn't come from being perfect. It comes from being vulnerable, messy, honest, human. But a person locked in toxic positivity doesn't allow that. They smile when they want to cry. They give advice when they should just listen. They stay light because going deep feels too dangerous. The result? People don't feel safe around them. They feel dismissed, unseen, disconnected. Friendships become shallow. Romantic relationships feel distant. No one really knows them, and worse, they don't know themselves either. Eventually, the constant "I'm fine" becomes a prison. They're surrounded by people, but feel completely alone, not because others abandoned them, but because they never allowed anyone to truly get close. Toxic positivity promises peace, but often delivers isolation. Because if no one sees your pain, no one can truly see you. And when you're never real with anyone, you lose the one thing we're wired to crave: authentic, emotional connection. But here's the final truth no one tells you. Toxic positivity creates cognitive dissonance, that deep, aching tension between what you feel and what you force yourself to believe. On the outside, you're saying, "I'm grateful, I'm okay, I'm moving forward." But inside, something whispers, "This hurts, this doesn't feel right." You smile while your chest tightens. You say you're fine, but your sleep is broken. You post happy pictures while your heart feels like it's drifting. And over time, this disconnect starts to eat away at you. You lose your sense of truth. You stop trusting your instincts because your inner world and your outer performance don't match. And that fractures your sense of self. Wholeness doesn't come from always being positive. It comes from being honest, from being real, from letting all your parts, even the messy, angry, scared ones, be seen and integrated. So now I'll ask you, when was the first time you caught yourself thinking, maybe positivity isn't always a good thing? Drop it in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. And if this video hit home, send it to a friend who needs to hear this. Someone who's been smiling too long, pretending too hard, carrying too much. This is She Needs to Hear This. And we're unpacking 100 truths every modern woman needs to face in a modern world. You're not alone.